Welcome to City on a Hill Gaming, a tabletop RPG actual play podcast. To find out more, download episodes wherever you get podcasts, or visit us online at cityonahillgaming.com, or by sending us an email at cityonahillgaming@gmail.com. You can also support us on patreon.com/cityonahillgaming. We hope you enjoy our show. Welcome back to City on a Hill Gaming. I am Ryan. Hello. I'm joined today by Cameron.
Hello, hello.
And Greg.
Yo.
And so we started talking about doing this about 12 hours ago with the intention of having 2 weeks of lead time before we did it. And then about 3 hours ago, it turned into, hey, do you want to do it tonight? So bear with us because schedule adjustments were made and now we're here doing a new thing. This is a new thing for City on a Hill that maybe has a proper name. We'll see what I title it when it goes up. But for now, I'm going to call it the City on a Hill cast. And this is a kind of sit-down roundtable show with various friends of the show, players, GMs, etc., where we're going to talk about tabletop gaming, talk about our experiences on City, talk about new things for City, maybe make some content, like some characters or some big bads or some new classes. We have some special things we want to do that I know particularly these two are excited about. We have a thing called Bible class that we are going to try and do tonight, and that will show up on here from time to time. And just kind of do a general thing and make it a little more of a less of a dice and storytelling thing and a little more of a just discussion show to kind of get more of us and our RPG-ness out there. So this will kind of go along in the feed with everything else. And yeah, so thank you two for joining me.
For sure, happy to do it.
Welcome to the new show, I guess. So
I'm pretty sure I'm happy to do it. I'm to blame for half of it.
It was largely your idea, yes. And I am okay with that. And this goes along with a lot of our other new stuff that we're working on. I'm going to spoil something that I don't know if ever is going to actually happen, but there's a thing called the MacGuffin Factory that I hope happens. That'll also kind of fall in line with this. We'll see if we manage to make that one happen. We also have space stuff coming, Marvel stuff coming.
Woohoo! That meant to actually sound really excited. I was just thinking at the same time about non-Marvel and Star Wars and space things. You said space, not Star Wars, but
technically both. Technically a Star Wars thing and a non-Star Wars space thing, and a Marvel thing, and a new full campaign.
And if we want that Marvel thing to be in space, I can do that.
Yes. No.
It's an easy adaptation.
I mean, you're not wrong. I'm intrigued.
I've told you all. Well, I've told you all who I want to play for that.
Yes, and I said no. And I'm not even the one running it, and I said no. I don't even think I'm allowed to do that, and I said no. I've seen that book.
I got my book. I can always pull somebody from that.
That's what worries me. Okay, that aside. So let's go around. Oh, I don't even know the answer to my own question. Okay, I'll figure that out as we go. Cameron, what was the last tabletop RPG system you played as of recording?
So as of recording, the last session that I have played was D&D 5e.
Okay. Is that your work game?
No, unfortunately, when I started my new job.
Oh.
Because I started a new job. And so I've been running, I don't know how much detail you want for this question, so I'm going to just talk till somebody stops me.
Go for it.
That's how I live my life.
Yes, King, no judgment.
So I've been running a group through the Strixhaven campaign for about 2 years.
And sick. Okay.
We're actually wrapping it up in the next couple sessions. And so I'm cutting the campaign in half. And so I've been doing a lot of prep for that to try to cut down the story that's supposed to be 4 in-world years into be 2 in-world years. And so now
what level
most
are
recent, they're 5.
Okay.
And so
do you start that one at 1?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The first year is, I guess, spoilers for the mechanics of Strixhaven. And so year 1 is levels 1 through 4. Year 2 is 5 through 6. Then 7 and 8 for year 3, and 9 and 10 for year 4.
So it actually breaks it down like school.
Yes.
Kind of dig that.
It's a magical, for people that don't know the Magic the Gathering setting of Strixhaven, it's a magical college, and where all of the like schools are influenced by the existence of magic. And so it's not just studying history, it's bringing spirits into the world to teach history about the battles that they were at. And so.
Oh, nice. Okay,
you
very
ask
cool.
them more than 5 questions.
You can, yeah. So.
Greg, what is the last system you played?
Also 5e, but kind of a 5e that we're also slowly adding. I don't remember what they call it anymore. 5.5, 6th edition, D&D 2024, whichever one that one is, the new stuff.
D&D Next. That's not what they call it. That was the last one. They do have a name for it. I think it's 2024.
Yeah, I think it's just D&D 2024, which is a bit of a misnomer when part of it's not even out in 2024. But
minor details.
Yeah, it's barely out in 2024. Yeah. But yeah, so that one, that's with a group that I've been playing with for 14-ish years now. We've had multiple people come and go, but there have been 3 of us that have been with it for that 14 years. And the other 2 that aren't me have actually played together for much longer than that.
Is this like online or in person?
It was originally in person, like entirely in person up until about 2 years ago when 2 of our players moved to Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
Now we do online.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it spent over a decade in person.
Good night, man. Cameron, what was yours? Like in person or online?
Ours is online.
Yours is online. Okay. I think my last is also technically 5e. The characters and the mechanics are 5e. The system and setting are Pathfinder 1st edition. Because that's my home.
So you're like in Galarian?
It's my home Kingmaker game.
Oh, okay.
So it's Pathfinder 1st edition Kingmaker rules, but with 5th edition characters, because most of the players, a decent number of the players have like basically only played D&D, which I think maybe isn't as true anymore. I think I have 2 that have only played D&D, 2 that have played a couple of things, including Pathfinder, and 2 that have played probably more systems than I have. But we started in 5e, and then I wanted to play Kingmaker. So I'm running 2 simultaneous Kingmaker games, and they have officially started their kingdom.
Ooh, nice.
And kind of very, very slowly begun that process, which is interesting. I forgot how mechanically complicated the math for the actual kingdom making of Kingmaker is, but that's a whole thing. Which you guys should get to. Well, you guys will get to eventually, I promise. I hope, I promise.
Eventually we'll get out of, I guess we are out of this tutorial.
You are out of the tutorial finally, yes, thankfully. Good night. And the tutorial in 2nd edition Kingmaker is an actual thing where the tutorial in 1st edition Kingmaker is one bandit fight in a different city. Kind of. Like, it's not really a thing. So that's, yeah. Okay, so that's what we all players. Okay, so what's and you may not know the answer to this question off the top of your head. What's the last system you played a character in? Because I guess Greg's would be that, because Cameron and I are both talking about things we're DMing. So yeah, Cameron, what's the last thing you played in?
So I'm trying to remember how time worked.
Same.
Because I don't remember if it's our Pathfinder game. I don't think it is. I think it's Candela Obscura.
Which is the Critical Role?
Yes. So that's the Darrington Press, which is Critical Role. It's there. It's kind of like Blades in the Dark style, like kind of Victorian, but spooky and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, I guess opposite question. Greg, what's the last thing you ran?
Iron Falcon 75. That's how long it's been.
Okay. Because I think the last thing I played was either that Iron Falcon 75 game or Wonder Home. I can't remember which one we played more recently.
I think we've played Wander Home more recently, or you all did without me. I had like a 2-month period where like no matter what happened, I just became like insanely busy, or something came up, or I just ran out of spoons during the day and just did not play anything for like 2 months straight.
Woof. Not ideal at all. Which reminds me, I need to schedule Kingmaker and
Have a
Iron
game.
Falcon 75. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the two of you, I think Cameron, I'm not positive, has posed an interesting question in our document, which is, how do you create a new character?
Yeah, so this is me, and this kind of goes into something that we're working on as a whole, where you teased Marvel earlier, but this is also just something I've been thinking about in general. And from a Magic the Gathering standpoint, Mark Rosewater, the head designer, has a common expression of the idea of when you create cards, you create them either top down or bottom up. And what that means is, like, as you look at the playing card, do you start at the top, which is where the name of the card is, or do you start at the bottom, which is where the rules of the card are?
Do you start with lore? Do you start with mechanics?
Yeah.
Okay.
And part of the reason that I'm thinking this is over on my stream, I just started the Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous game.
The video game from
yes.
From what's the studio called?
Cat?
Yeah.
Is it Owlcat?
I think so. The ones who made the Kingmaker game too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so kind of with that, I was recently creating a character. And so that kind of just got me thinking, when y'all, like, how do you approach creating a new character when you're going to play in a game?
I think it's almost always top down. Unless I'm filling in like an empty space in a party, which I guess then it would be like mechanics first. Like if the party needs a tank or whatever. I think it's almost always like lore, backstory, like aesthetic concept first for me. Huh. I never really considered that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because like I'm thinking of the character I'm going to play in Marvel, and that was almost always, this is the kind of character I want to make first, and then we worry about the mechanics later.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it depends upon the character and the system, and just whatever is inspiring me. In that game that I've been playing with the same people for over a decade, I had a character I was kind of building in. I kind of got inspired by a lecture series that I was listening to, and decided and wanted to build a character. And then it just so happened my PC died. If y'all know me in games, that's a common occurrence.
Respect.
I'm either going to be the first GM to kill somebody on City of the Hill or the first player to die. It's going to be one of the two.
You and Ezek can race for that.
Ezek's trying.
Yeah.
Real hard, unintentionally.
But yeah, I think for me, if it's a class-based system, like Pathfinder or D&D, I almost always start with a class idea and then build the character from there. So like, for example, I knew, before I knew anything about Ezek, I knew that he was going to be a Magus.
Just because you wanted to do Magus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Magus is my favorite style. Like the magic sword fighter is like my favorite kind of character. Like, and then, so I knew that about Ezek before I knew he was going to be a Knoll, before I knew that he was even going to be like Eivor coded as this like Viking warrior, like living in the city. And like before all of that even got like pulled into the character, I knew his class first. Now, and this kind of goes to what Greg was just saying, when I am playing Candela, that character very much, Candela can be a very scary game, like intentionally, like spooky and haunted. So like on that game, I started the other way. I started with, my character is going to think all of this is a joke, think none of this is real. He's going to be the comic relief. And that landed me on his inspiration as being Paul Rudd's character, Bobby Newport, from Parks and Rec. I knew that I just wanted this goofy, like trust fund kid that had no clue what's going on. And then I had to work with the GM to actually figure out how is he going to play to not be completely incompetent.
Love it.
So for me, I definitely think it comes down to like that system style. But if there's a class, even going back to Marvel as our example, I'm starting 9 times out of 10. And
do me a favor and go back just a second. Right after you said using Marvel as our example, my internet cut slightly.
Okay. Using Marvel as our example, where there's like a built out skill tree options, like that's almost always where I would start. But I do think that there's kind of like the cop out to this question of like, I think systems do it best when your character's flavor and their mechanics meld together.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, it's so easy dependent for specific systems to just kind of like, oh, I'm not really thinking of building my character as a fighter. I'm thinking about just building them in this cool way. And fighter is what makes the most sense mechanically for how I envision them like interacting with the world.
Right. Well, and it does seem like something that's very situational.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're going to be like, everybody sits down at the table and it's like, okay, everybody draws like a class out of a hat or something, which I kind of want to try now that I say that.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of things similar to that, actually.
And there's a thing when Jenny was on the show, or when she was, even when Jenny was on Saving the Game, they would talk about this idea. I think their mom runs it this way. It's like method 1, level 1, where like you roll your stats in order and you go straight down the page and you pick your class after your stats are assigned. And
that's a very old school way.
Mechanically, that terrifies me because that's the exact opposite of like my min-maxing nature. But I'm intrigued by the idea of being like, well, this is what you got, deal with it.
Yep.
And playing it like that.
That was one of the things we discussed in session 0 of Iron Falcon 75, because by book, that's what you do in those old school games. It's 3d6 down the line. You get what you get. And some of them, you pick your class first. Then you roll. So you might not even roll good for your class.
Woof.
Yeah.
Well, and the idea of having no agency in assigning stats or whatever, like, really is unsettling to me, but I want to do it at some point.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like a good one shot that then everyone inevitably falls in love with their characters and you keep playing.
Yeah. I would love to do a like meat grinder style, like one shot, where it's just everyone comes with like 10 characters and just try out every class. And it's just, this is designed to where like, I think it's Purple Worm Kill. I could have that wrong. But the idea is like you're a level 1 party that gets roped into going against like challenge rating 20 monster.
Oh, and you just keep throwing things at it until...
Yeah, and it's just like you have 0 chance of success, but it's like just create a silly story with these characters that are not going to make it. And I've always wanted to try something like that just because of that. Like, okay, we're in the zone. We are creating these characters. Here's their 3 personality traits. Let's go. It's like I kind of had this on a game Greg ran where like we just showed up and got pre-mades. And so it's like, okay, here's your randomly generated characteristics.
Right.
Like, how are you going to RP this character when you just see that these are the things? Go. It's a fun like improv exercise.
Interesting. Okay, I found what you're looking at. That's very intriguing.
And it has Matthew Lerner, automatically makes me happy. But like I said, that's something I've ran multiple times of giving players random character sheets. I've done it to where there's like a bunch of pre-made characters. You get their name, their race, and their class, and everybody just rolls and sees who they get. Or I've actually done one to where players get nothing. They get a blank character sheet that's numbered, and I have the written out character sheet.
And you just fill it in as you go?
As you figure out what it is, you fill it in. You don't know your race or your class or anything. You have to go by what other people tell you.
It very much sounds like the kind of thing you would do at a con.
Yeah, they're good for one-shots. They're not really good for long campaigns. They're just kind of fun because it can take a long time to fill stuff in, especially like when it comes to your ability scores, because those don't really come out naturally. A lot of it just had to be they do the roll and I do the math for them.
And then they just kind of try and figure, okay, that's interesting. I like that. Okay, so let's put this into practice then. Because you two in particular were a big fan, and I think, did we settle on Bible class as the name? I thought we had.
That's what I said.
I'm not sure where that came from, but that's what we had in chat.
Okay, good. I thought we had talked about that, but I wasn't positive. So Bible class.
You let me ramble in chat. I'm going to throw out a ton of ideas, and then just kind of whatever sticks, or if nothing sticks, I don't care. That's how we come up with half these ideas. You say, hey, Greg, I have an idea. And then I say 100 things, and you take whatever you like.
It's worked so far. So this is the idea of taking a Bible character and figuring out how they would play mechanically in, I will refer to it as your average fantasy RPG. Not necessarily D&D, not necessarily Pathfinder, level of advanced 5th edition, whatever. We are unlikely to find out how they would play in Marvel Multiverses, because that might be a touch for. And this will be somewhat limited. Characters we will not do. Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit, things like that. Things like that are a no. But you're more unique, like David, Jonathan, Solomon, Ruth, Esther, name an apostle, people like that. Just kind of, how would you play them at a table? And there are systems for this, I think, or at least systems to play biblically that I have seen pop up. Okay, so which character are we thinking? Who from the Bible are we making a character for in this moment?
mean, David is the first one on the notes. Like, that seems like it seems like it could go interesting places based on what we know.
Do we maybe want to do, like, I also put somebody from Judges on there too. Just it is part of this is kind of looking at what everything the Bible has to say about them and what they did, and with some of with like
you cut out slightly. It was with some of them something.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So, like, David has a lot about him. I don't know if that's who we want to do tonight. Just to cover everything about him would be a lot of information. But some of the ones in Judges are much shorter. Like, Ehud is like 15 total verses.
Ehud, Deborah, Gideon. I'm just looking at ones like I actually recognize the name of. Sam. Oh, I forgot Samson was a judge.
Yeah, he's like 3 chapters.
I mean, we can do Samson, barbarian, done. Let's go.
I was going to say Ehud, assassin, done. Let's go.
Actually, for Samson is actually one of the reasons why I think this is really a fun thing. Because he's not barbarian. He's a paladin.
A paladin who breaks his oath?
An oathbreaker paladin. His strength comes from his oath. It doesn't come from. It's not just raging makes him strong. He gets his power with God from his oath and his devotion to God. Okay. And then he
just
does
like a
become
-5 intelligence paladin.
Good thing paladins aren't
mechanically that seems fine. Yeah. And the charisma is all hair.
Exactly.
He has like a positive, like a 17, 18 in both, or in like strength, charisma, and constitution, and then like a -5 in everything else. Like,
no wisdom, no intelligence.
Is
int below a 10? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
His int is he can speak, so his int is like 6.
Okay. Wisdom?
Which gives it a -2 overall. Wisdom, I would say also 6.
And dexterity. Should be decent. That's like a 14.
Yeah, 12 or 14.
Okay.
I would say 12. Like, he's not definitely strong, or like strong in that stat, but I would not say is like
mechanically
he's not out
weighted.
here like running laps around
Right.
people necessarily.
That's not the build.
Yeah, he's
okay. Give me a level for Samson. Okay, so I'm assuming we're saying Samson. Is this pre-haircut or post-haircut Samson?
Well, he'd be a paladin no matter what.
But if we're going Oathbreaker, it has to be post-haircut.
Yeah,
Oathbreaker's post-haircut, but I'll also just kind of picture him pre-haircut because I get like 80s hair metal rocker.
Sure. Frontman for, not frontman, bodyguard for poison or something. Okay,
the type that would just kind of pick you up and you would crowd surf whether or not you would want to.
Touche. Okay, what level is Samson? I think that's a more interesting question for me. Because it's not low.
I mean, this also gets into the unreasonableness of levels in TTRPGs.
And this is fair.
Like realistically, across tabletop RPGs, if you're level 2, you're superhuman. Like, you
essentially,
would be,
yes.
Like one of the strongest people in the world at like level, like high level 2, low level 3 wise. Like,
put you in like a decimal percentage of existence.
Right.
Sure.
Exactly.
Having levels makes you strongest. A commoner is straight 10s across the board.
Optimistically,
with no strong ability to use a weapon. A city guard would only have a few levels on him at best, and that would be just being able to use weapons. I've been listening to a lot of lit RPGs lately, so that's also been kind of messing with my view of leveling as characters. They're all video game RPGs, not TTRPGs.
True. Which have much more variable systems usually. Yeah. Okay, so human paladin / Oathbreaker paladin.
I could see him being like level 4. Like, with all of that said.
Okay.
Like you're kind of at that point in your character journey where you have like if I was creating Samson as a character, like I have created this paladin and you have him playing him through your first couple levels, and then around level 3 is when he starts having these issues, and then level 4 is like the Oathbreaker side. Like, that's the mechanical result of the RP that you've had up to that point.
Okay, so it's like Paladin 3, Oathbreaker, Paladin 4.
Yeah, that's kind of how I would think about it. I'm curious, Greg, to what you think there, but I think that like stat-wise would make a lot of sense.
I would say level 4 and probably Oath of Devotion to start out, and then Oathbreaker after that.
Devotion makes sense. So, like, let's say Paladin, Oath of Devotion, Paladin 4, or Oathbreaker, Paladin 5.
I would still say 4.
Okay.
And I would probably say 3 for Devotion.
Okay. And this looks like it's Judges 13 through 16, basically?
Yeah, like I said, like, Samson's like 3 chapters. Deborah, I think, is 1 chapter. It's like right after Ehud, that's 1 verse.
I will say Samson almost feels like he reads very much like a TTRPG character in that everything. So, like, in your average RPG, and I'm guilty of this on City when I'm not careful, 2 years of a campaign and 6 character levels and 4 major boss fights all takes place in game of the span of like 3.5 weeks. Yeah. And that feels very much like Samson. Like, very, very much of Samson's story takes place in a very short amount of time. Okay.
I think that's kind of, I can't remember offhand how short of a time. I think it's one of those that, like, a lot of stuff gets just kind of pushed through with time. Like, we don't know, like, they skip time periods. It's just kind of like, they're here, and then they're here, and that could have been a year. That could have been 2 months. That could have been 5 years. They don't cover time.
Not necessarily. No, that's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, the first chapter is mostly his childhood. The first chapter with Samson, chapter 13, is mostly just his childhood. And then he gets married, and then he does his other stuff. But, like, we don't know how long. Yeah, lots of poor choices. Lots and lots of poor choices. Over and over again. And then he gets
flawed RPG character.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he gets blinded. We don't know how long he was blinded for before he did all of his other stuff.
Oh, sure.
Which is why I like Oathbreaker more for higher level than Devotion, because with Oathbreaker he gets Hellish Rebuke, and I think that covers the pillars very well.
Oh, pulling them down.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Paladin, weapon. Is Donkey Jawbone 2 on the nose? At that point, you just say mace?
Yeah, I think that would fall under mace. I mean, obviously, like, improvised weapons as a whole. You could argue, like, hatchet for, like, that style of weapon as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's more of a hatchet style, just in the way it looks.
I also feel like it's reasonable for him to be, for him to consider unarmed combat trained.
Mm-hmm.
Very. Tavern Brawler for sure.
Yes.
Especially Tavern Brawler.
Yeah, definitely that kind of punchy style. Okay, so I'm looking back through the story and the different beats. Goes out and gathers 300 foxes and ties them together in pairs by their tails. His dexterity needs to be higher than a 12. In my mind, to gather 300 foxes. Unless we're equating 12 to being pretty fast, which is maybe actually fair.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, I think in the scope of a normal person, like, 12 would be very dexterous, right? Like,
that's true. That's true.
Because, like, even kind of going to what Greg called out earlier with the commoners, where it's like when I think of, like, a commoner being like 10 being average, I think of that being like average for the most fit of that. So, like, it's not every, like, real life, it wouldn't be every commoner has 10 across the board. It's like they maybe have 110. But
right.
Like, for the simplicity of the rules system, it's easier to just say, hey, 10's across the board. You can find a commoner like this.
Sure.
And so, like, I think now, I mean, that being said, you called out 14 earlier as an option. I don't necessarily think that that's crazy, but, like,
yeah.
I definitely like, as it being like 1 feet, like, I don't think of dexterity being his main stat. Like,
no, by no means. That's very true. Okay, you mentioned feet. If we're looking at this as, say, a D&D or a Pathfinder character, what feats would Samson have?
Tavern Brawler.
Got that one. Is that a 5e feat?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. I hadn't heard of that one. When you hit a creature with an unarmed striker on a transit. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike or an improvised weapon on your turn, you can use a bonus action to attempt to grapple. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, accurate. Makes
Tavern Brawler.
Give him
and it makes your unarmed strike a D4.
Ooh, yep, even better.
And proficient with improvised weapons.
Perfect. Actually.
Like, I didn't even have to look it up. I just remembered Tavern Brawler. That is Samson.
Oh, you can reroll ones on unarmed strikes, too. Love it.
Yeah, Tavern Brawler's fun.
Tavern Brawler seems kind of busted, low-key. I kind of like this. Seems very
In
good.
Pathfinder, there's a skill feat called Titan Wrestler, which I think kind of fits that similar vibe.
Okay,
So
I like that.
you can attempt to disarm, grapple, reposition, shove, or trip creatures up to 2 sizes larger than you.
Makes
or
sense.
Up to 3 sizes larger than you if you're legendary in athletics.
Which he probably would be.
Very specifically on pulling down the pillars. Like this idea of like, yo, GM, I want to make a roll to pull down the pillars. Okay.
Sure.
Can I use my Titan Wrestler feat to grapple the pillars?
Yeah, totally. Not going to matter.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
so,
rolls a 20 with like a plus 15 bonus or something.
Exactly.
It's like, well, all right, fine. Literally crashes the campaign down on himself. Yeah, good call. No, I like it. I like it. So I'm trying to think what else your average character, sort of irrespective of system, what your average character needs. Any specific skills he would definitely have.
And I think similarly, what kind of armor is like? Are we doing like the classic sword and board? Like, I've always pictured, like, of course, because Greg correctly called me out on the barbarian thing, and this has, like, he was very right on this style for Samson.
Yeah, no, I mean, paladin definitely makes sense. But barbarian seems like a good answer.
Yeah, like, I've always pictured him like minimal shirt, like, ready to punch.
Right.
Like, so, like, is there some skill there in terms of natural armor or something like that he could be using?
Oh, where his strength, like almost like a monk.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
But like instead of wisdom to AC, it'd be like con to AC or something.
Yeah, or strength to AC, like that style.
Who says he has good AC to begin with?
He just has 0. He just takes every hit.
It just doesn't matter because the con's so high.
Even then, like, yeah, he does really great when fighting, but he kills everybody before they have a chance to hit him. And then the times where he doesn't kill them, he is easily captured.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's really more a willpower thing. When he's easily captured, that's really more just like a failed willpower thing on his part, I feel like.
He got with Charm Person.
He did get got with Charm Person. This is very accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking down the, let's say, the 5e skills list. Trained in acrobatics? I say no.
No.
Animal handling?
I mean, he's good at finding dead animals. Does that count?
Not really, no. We'll just skip Arcana.
Actually, the animal handling might solve the
300 foxes issue.
With the 300 foxes and Dex issue.
I'll accept that. Okay, so it's going to be at a pretty bad penalty because his wisdom is awful. So,
right, but from a TTRPG perspective, this kind of goes to what you're saying. It's just one good roll.
That's probably true. Also, okay, so definitely athletics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not any of the other things I'm looking at. Nature, sure, nature. Why not? He has to be trained in like 4 things.
What about? Well, I was also going to say, what about his background?
Huh. What would his background be?
You're going to get me for not being.
I wouldn't say acolyte.
With. D&D backgrounds.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know them well enough off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Acolyte's probably okay.
Yeah.
Acolyte gives you insight and religion.
And he would definitely have religion. He definitely doesn't have insight.
Yeah.
Or he just has a really big negative to insight.
Yeah. I mean, I could also see this be like, again, if we're thinking about this as making a character, I could see this being something where it's like, oh, Acolyte sounds, but this doesn't fit the stats that I want.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the perfect RP choice, but is not the perfect, like
the worst min-max choice. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Folk hero.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with folk hero.
Makes sense.
Animal handling and survival.
I was going to put survival anyway, so that works.
I think both of those would make a lot of sense.
Okay, so athletics, nature, religion, animal handling, and survival. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we have the bare bones of a Samson. Oath of Devotion Paladin or Oathbreaker Paladin, depending on what part of his story. Human, Strength 18, Con 18, Charisma 18, Wisdom 6, Intelligence 6, Dexterity 12. I'm just gonna eschew the weapons and just say simple weapons. I think
he gets certain. I don't know what Paladin gets.
Oh, that's probably true.
Yeah, Paladin gets things. I just don't know what they are.
Fair enough. I would say though it's not any it's nothing more than whatever the basics are.
Right.
Like whatever.
Plus
basic for
improvised from
from Tavern Brawler. So for feats he has Tavern Brawler and Titan Wrestler, and his trained stats are athletics, nature, religion, animal handling, and survival, and his background is folk hero. Okay.
He gets all armor, shields, simple weapons, and martial weapons.
Really? He just doesn't bother.
Yeah.
And his
I lost you for a second. His what? You said
saving throws are charisma.
Yes.
And wisdom. He'll get 2 from athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion, or religion. So I think, athletics and religion come from that one, and then so that's perfect.
Animal handling and survival, and then we do from folk hero, and then we just throw nature on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We have made a paladin of some variety. If you can convince your DM to give you 3 18s in exchange for 2 6s and 12, give it a shot. Good night, some of those numbers, man. Yeah. But that feels very Samson. His int and his wisdom should be fairly low.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will stop with the character there. So we made a character. That's cool. And we can go deeper with some of them in the future. Cameron, where can the nice folks find you on the internet?
You can find me streaming over on twitch.tv and YouTube as Cameron plus Deanna. And then you can also find me over on First Geek 411.
Love it. Where can Greg be found on the internet?
Currently, pretty much just Discord.
Okay. Find Greg on the Discord.
I'm not many other places.
Okay. We will offer the same bounty on Greg that we have on Ben. If you can show us proof you definitively found Ben or Greg somewhere on the internet that we don't advertise them, we will give you a special role on the Discord server. That is the current standing agreement. If you can find one of them somewhere, you get the special role on the Discord as having hunted one of them down online. Okay, so more Kingmaker, Wonder Home, and Iron Falcon 75 to come. More of the City on a Hill cast, or whatever we name it eventually, to come, as well as Star Wars and other space stuff, and Marvel, and Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, and at least one other system I'm forgetting the name of. And, what is that one called? Lasers and Feelings? I may have made that up. I think it's called Lasers and Feelings. That is also coming soon. So, Cameron, thank you. Say bye to the nice people.
Bye, nice people.
Greg, thank you, sir. Say bye to the nice people.
Oh, yo. Bye.
And, folks, thank you so much for listening, as always. And, hey, remember, we are now available on YouTube And you can listen to the episodes there or on YouTube. What is it called now? YouTube podcasts? YouTube Music Podcasts. We are also available
Google Music Podcasts.
Thank you. That was it. I think they closed that.
YouTube.
I think it's YouTube Music.
It's YouTube Music, and then there's podcasts on there. That's what it is.
Yes, that is.
That's where I listen to podcasts.
There you go. Proof that it works. So as always,
as long as people put them on there.
Yes, and the RSS feed does go up there now, which is nice. Thank you so much for listening, and have a blessed day. Thanks for listening to City on the Hill Gaming. If you'd like to know more, find us online at cityonthehillgaming.com or by sending us an email at cityonthehillgaming@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at cityonthehillgame or find us online at patreon.com/cityonthehillgaming. Thanks as always to our Patreon backers, Grizzly Rich, Bryan, Sir Lord Epicname, Andrew, Christina, and Tony. We really thank you guys for everything you do to support the show, and we truly appreciate you. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.